big stunner, 100. You stupid, just shut up. Keep breezy, I'm big boy, done.
All right, Suburban King's new thing, AJ Marat, my daughter, was on here. So, in keeping with the theme of what we're trying to do with this podcast which is a bunch of dads from the suburbs trying to stay connected to art. So I've asked AJ, who's like, you're like the queen of the playlist. Like you always got the aux there on the basketball team. So to keep me up to date, like let me know what's up with the music that I need to be checking out. What's the latest, greatest? What's the new hotness? Because, I don't want to rely on the algorithm. I want to know what's really happening on the streets. So that's what we're going to get into. You excited?
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Get
into it.
Well, let's start at the top. It's March and it's basketball. March Madness. How's your bracket?
It wasn't looking great for a second. I had some upsets in there. I love a good upset, especially us. But
we're talking men's side first. We can talk about both, the men's side.
Yeah.
So
mine's not doing too bad. I don't think.
Not too bad.
I haven't checked on it.
You're at a 91.9%. You're ranked 2 million in the nation. You have 10,040 possible points remaining, and then I am at you're the it's AJ's bracket. You have Duke national champs. Not bad. Yeah. And then I think you got me beat because you have 1040 remaining at 91%, ranked 2 million. I'm ranked 6 million at 76%, 920 possible points remaining. I have Florida winning it all.
Did they already get knocked out or no?
No. My Final Four is not intact because I had Tennessee beating Duke, but Duke made it. Let's see, where was that game? Yeah, so today I would have had, or I have 10. Yeah, so my Final Four is intact. No, it's not, because I had Tennessee beating Houston yesterday, or whenever that, I think it was today, and Houston beat Tennessee 69-50. So my Final Four isn't intact, but kind of lame is the Final Four on the men's side is all number ones. All the number one seeds are in the Final Four.
Yeah. That's by the end of my bracket, I had number ones in the Final Four, and I was like, I know nothing about what's going on their side of things. So I just picked the number ones to win.
And then on the women's side, it's similar, where the very few upsets, across the women's bracket. So it was kind of, they call it when it's just straight chalk. Usually when I have like a full pool, like at work with all the friends, everybody's in there, we'll create a control bracket where it's just straight ranking. It's full chalk. And if you can't beat that, then that's just shameful. But the women are looking like we have one more night because they're a day behind the men.
Yeah.
UCLA, South Carolina in the Final Four, so number ones, and the number ones in the other regions are still alive. USC and Texas. I think USC is going to have a problem against UConn tomorrow with Juju out.
And Paige is out for blood right now.
What?
She had 40 piece the other day.
Oh, out for blood. I thought she was out like she had a blood problem.
Oh, no. She's out for blood.
What's she averaging, like 34 for the 3 games so far in the tournament?
What is it? She's 50, 40, 90 right now, or over the season? Like
absolutely killing it, which good for her.
Yeah.
With her career being riddled with injuries.
Yeah.
Up until now, I'm good for her, because it's kind of like there was a lot of hype when she came out of high school, and she kind of wasn't delivering. Like normally you don't root for UConn, but it's good to see a kid who's gone through a lot, starting to produce. So, and then Juju out, 100%. That's a huge bummer.
Yeah, that was sad.
Yeah. And then I watched Tamia Gardner blow up today. She went like 5 for 7 from deep.
Yeah, she was shooting insane.
Killing it. Mm-hmm. Awesome. So I love March Madness. Games have been on. The YouTube TV is great because I can sometimes watch 4 games at the same time, which is awesome.
Yeah. I had my setup with UCLA but then anime. So a little different, but let's do a little bit of both.
Oh, awesome. Well, I want to shift to music a little bit. So current earworms. I want to touch on this every few weeks, like just kind of, because I tend to, you're the same way. I think it runs in our family, where you kind of get sucked into like a genre or an artist or even an album or just some few songs that like you're on heavy rotation for a period of time. Anything landed in there for you right now?
Salsa music.
Salsa music.
That's my earworm. Bad Bunny, salsa, anything like that right now.
Is Bad Bunny considered salsa, or does Bad Bunny do some salsa?
Songs, yeah. He has some songs.
Okay.
But yeah.
How do you fall into that, down that road? How do you get into salsa? Like what led into it? Like what mood were you in? You're like, I'm gonna listen to it, and now you're hooked for now.
I don't even know where it started. It started because Bad Bunny dropped an album, I think in January, and there was a couple songs on it that I really liked. And my Spanish teammates were listening to it all the time, and then they would keep playing songs on their playlist, and I'd be like, wait, I'd Shazam it really quick to see what it is. And I don't know, or like Spotify, I love clicking like the go-to radio on like a specific song to see like other songs like it. That's probably what I do the most, as opposed to like making playlists. Like it's just whatever vibe I'm in.
Oh, okay.
So I feel like I found more like that when I really liked one song off his album. I would just keep going down like the rabbit hole of like, okay, go to radio for this song.
You should go to radio for an artist.
Yeah.
I haven't tried it for a song yet. I need to try that. I didn't know it did that. I always just looked at the artist one. So that's kind of like, usually in the morning I do that. Like I'll put something chill on. Like I think yesterday, or the last, it was Friday was the last weekday. In the morning when I come down, first thing I let the dog out and I turn Spotify on, and I usually, whatever artist I'm in the mood. So it was actually Paganini. So we're on classical on Friday. So I put Paganini on there and just wrote, because it's his is simpler, a lot of chamber music. So it's not always like these big, violent orchestra shifts.
Yeah.
It's good background music. I like that. Or I pick like an 80s. I think I go to the Howard Jones radio a lot if I want like chill 80s music in the morning. That's just kind of the background. But I need to try a song that might be a little more focused. I like it.
It's very inconsistent. I feel like sometimes it'll be just like songs that I listen to currently. I'm like, that has nothing to do with this song at all. But it is nice, especially when I'm on aux in practice and there's like a vibe for the day of song we really like, and I want to keep a similar vibe going. I'll try to find songs like it,
Yeah. Okay. Well, then we what we need to do? We need to do a song draft, you and I. And I have an idea, but we'll talk about it later. But it'd be very basketball oriented. I got an idea, but
let's go.
Yeah. No, I went back to, I think it was, so I just did like a massive road trip, to see some games and see some friends a couple weeks ago, where I drove all the way down I-5, stopped in the Bay Area, went down to LA, Malibu, and then stayed in San Diego for a few days. So I did pretty much all from Portland, Oregon, all the way to San Diego on I-5. And then I made my way over to Vegas and then took I-15 all the way back up through Utah and Idaho, and then back over here into Portland. So I did like the whole Great Western Loop, I guess. I was out for like 18 days. And for whatever reason, I think when I was rolling through, I think it might have been when I was in the Bay Area, and, music was a big part of skateboarding for me. It was just kind of, you listen to some music on the way to the spot, to kind of get into some rhythm similar to playing hoop. And so I put on Liquid Swords from the Jizza, and I spun that like the entire road trip, and I'm still listening to Liquid Swords. So I'd say like, I think 36 Chambers gets all the credit as like the greatest Wu-Tang album, but Liquid Swords, although it's technically a Genius or Jizza album, pretty much all the Wu-Tang does some stuff on there. In fact, I think my favorite song is the Jizza and Inspect the Deck. That's Cold World on Liquid Swords. So that's been on heavy rotation. I'm stuck in the vortex of the woo right now.
The vortex
with Liquid Sword. It's just great driving music. Like it's old school hip hop, very lyrical, pretty simple, And so I've been digging Liquid Swords. That's been my jam. I'm curious. I got to try some of the. I've been afraid of the Spotify algorithm because I don't understand. Because we just did an episode on the main pod. We dug into streaming media, how they pay artists. Because I've been seeing a lot of on social. I'm quitting Spotify. Spotify gets the most hate because it's the biggest. Quitting Spotify because they don't pay artists enough, right? And I'm like, what? I mean, obviously, we're not buying CDs. I mean, have you ever bought a CD? Yeah.
No.
So I mean, I don't even know where my CDs are anymore. We bought digital for a while before we just went to subscribe streaming, where I have all the music in the world. I don't have to worry about losing or damaging discs or managing files and putting them from one computer to device to the next. And so it's just a different world. Anyway, we went into that. But what I learned was that there's a lot of people trying to game the system to try and get paid. So they'll make fake songs and put them on the streaming services to get plays. It sounds like they're getting better at cracking down on that. Yeah. But I know when an artist wasn't on Spotify and you went to search for it, for the longest time, I think Mom ran into this where, who is it? Van Morrison wasn't on Spotify, and she loves Van Morrison, so she had to go. You'd search that, and you get some whack cover of Van Morrison.
That's what I do with Garth Brooks.
Yeah, I think Garth Brooks is still the same, right?
There's Friends in Low Places, but it's by DJ Garth.
Yeah. So you get this stuff, and so one thing I worry about is the algorithm. I know a lot of people like your daily mix and all this stuff. I always worry about clicking on those because it's what's behind that? What's the algorithm? Who's informing it? Are record labels paying extra to put music into my ears that I might not like or doesn't quite match? I'm worried about the algorithm picking music for me. We're going to fall back into radio where it's it's very narrow what gets played because the A&R people are paying the radio station to play their music. I'm worried about it. So that's kind of why I'm doing this podcast. I want to learn from some people what they're listening to, so it's a different world. That said, we'll get into it after we go through some I don't want to say movie, like a TV show we're going to talk about, but I want to hear how the kids, I say kids, you're 22, how the youngsters are discovering music right now, because it's so different from when we discovered music. And so I want to make sure I'm tuned into that so I can find the new stuff. I love hearing new stuff. So, all right. Adolescence. The show that was on Netflix, right? So we watched Adolescence on Netflix. So spring break, season's over. AJ's chilling. We're at our place and we're looking for something to watch. And you said you heard it was good. And so we put it on. And it was weird at first. Right? You first watched it, took a minute to get into it. Just describe it a little bit. What's the premise of the show? It's only 4 episodes.
I heard about it because people on TikTok and Instagram were talking about everybody in this show deserves an Emmy for TV shows or whatever. And I was like, oh, okay, if everybody deserves one, I should take a look.
Yeah.
And I mean, it starts off, this kid gets arrested first thing. That's how it starts off. He's getting raided his house is getting raided by the cops. They're digging through looking for evidence. Everybody's screaming. He's in his bed. It's 6 a.m. or something like that before school. And the first 30 minutes of the show, it feels like it's going in real time of him getting arrested and, going through the whole process of being at the police station, going through all the processing and everything. So you're what is going on? Nobody has explained a single thing. We've just been sitting here for 30 minutes waiting for something to happen. Right. This kid just got arrested. We don't know why. And they're at his house talking about we're looking for evidence somebody's been murdered, and that's all we really know. So it kind of just, at first, you kind of want to turn it off because it's going slow, but you're also like, no, I've sat through this much. I need to keep watching.
It's jarring. It's a jarring start. There's no intro. And like you said, there's no, what we call in like movies, exposition, which is where they're filling you in on what's going on. Sometimes that's through dialogue. Sometimes they use a narrator. Really good directors like Denis Villeneuve can actually give you exposition just by shots and framing things and just giving you people's emotions to understand what's going on. That's kind of what the first act of a movie is about. Like, let me meet everybody. You know, don't give me the problem first. Like, let me meet everybody. Let me understand the universe we're in. And it just goes straight into it.
Yeah.
And it's jarring. So you have to be ready for that. And we weren't, but we were committed because it was compelling. It was compelling because the acting was so good. Yeah. Right? Yeah. And about halfway through the episode, like you said, you start to realize, wait, this is in real time. And two, there's only one, the camera shot never changes. It's a continuous single shot for like the whole hour. I think each episode was maybe a little over an hour. Yeah. It never changes. So it's kind of like, what was that movie, 1917? Where it was, the whole movie was shot to appear like one shot. And so each episode, all four of them, is like that. Yeah. And so then you're mesmerized and you're like, oh, what's going on? But then I found, and maybe this was, I don't know if it's true for you, but I found I got caught up, and for everybody listening, there's nothing to spoil here because there's no plot twists. There's no spoiling. There's no like surprises. At all. So I want to qualify my next statement by saying I'm not spoiling anything because this isn't like a normal movie where there's stuff to figure out. And that I got caught up in that about once you started to understand what was going on, there was a murder. The kid, you know, our main character, or the main character in this one, Jamie, is being accused of this. We're in England, so the law's a little bit different in terms of, you know, how someone is interrogated and questioned. It's much different than America. And so you once you're there, now you're caught up in like, oh, this is a murder mystery. Okay. So you're trying to figure it out. So you're looking at it that way. I remember we were talking after the first episode, like, oh, I wonder if that was that and that was this. And was that really him on the video? And so you you go into there. And so you're disoriented. You try to find something familiar. Okay. It's a movie, a murder mystery. I got to figure out the murder mystery. And then that episode ends, you know, we're done with the arrest part of it. Yeah. And then it goes into the second one, which is, I forget how it starts. I think it starts them just walking up to a school, right? Yeah, the cops. Yeah. Sure. So the two detectives that are working this crime go to, I guess it's like it seems like it's a school that's not just a high school or a middle school. Like I think it's a much broader age range. Yeah. Because the 12-year-old or what, you know, our character was there. Plus there's like clearly kids that are 16 plus that are at this school too. So it's the woman like they were with said she worked with the lower school or whatever it's called. Yeah, exactly. So they're walking up to there, and there is a little bit of exposition there where I think they hint that like his son is at the school and he'll try to behave himself around his son. Yeah. But they're at the school just trying to interview some people, some kids, and learn some stuff. And again, in the moment, the whole time I'm trying to solve the murder because that's just how my brain works when I watch movies. I'm trying to solve the murder, and that's not what this is about. Like you can forget that. I'll save everyone the brain. Just enjoy the moment because it's not about solving the murder. It's about how amazing the acting is and just how incredible this is. And again, this episode, it's jumped forward. What, 3 days? I think it said 3 or 5 days. 3 days. And it's real time, one shot, the whole time, one shot for like an hour. And they're going around trying to talk to kids, and the kids are laughing at them. And this is kind of where, like, I think you can provide some insight. The kids are laughing at them, or giggling, or just not being cooperative, or just like, you know, whatever. And then the cops, the lead detective's son, who's maybe 15 or 16 or something in the show, you know, pulls him aside and pulls him in another room and is trying to explain to him what's going on. Right. Do you remember that scene? Yeah. Like, what was he trying to to clarify. Like at first it was weird because I'm frustrated too. I'm like, what are we talking about? Like, what do you know? Because I'm still trying to solve the murder.
Yeah, they have like a terrible relationship. Like they've kind of established that he doesn't have a good relationship with his son. So the conversation's already kind of frustrating because he's just not talking to him very well. And you're like, oh my gosh, spit it out. Like, what? Yeah. Why did you have to pull him aside privately? Because this whole time he'd been trying to avoid his son. So we're like, oh gosh, like this must be a big deal if his son was like, Dad, I need to talk to you.
Yeah.
And he's talking about, you guys look dumb, like you're not understanding. It's more than what you think it is. It wasn't just, oh, you just stabbed this girl. Like it's more than that. And they were like, you've looked at his Instagram, right? And first of all, I could not understand what he was saying. First of all, his accent was so thick. It took me a second to figure out he was talking about Instagram. But he was talking about the comments that Jamie, the main character, left on this girl's post, or that the girl left on Jamie's posts. And it was just like little emojis to the cops. So the cops are assumed that they were friends. So they're like, why did he murder his friend or whatever? You know, if they're friends like this, how could this happen? He's like, that's not what this is. Like each of these emojis have these different meanings, and she's actually bullying him is essentially what we get from that conversation. That Jamie's getting bullied by all these people, and these people are laughing at him, and there's all these different meanings that are pretty mean just from these like little emojis, and he had no idea. So he was like, Dad, you're not getting it. Like there's more to it.
Right. And that's the shift. And so the first episode was really just about the intensity of an arrest and what everybody's going through, his parents and everything, all the emotion. The second episode is really about just the cultural differences between adolescents, between teenagers and kids and the parents, and specifically when that substrate of social media and how they communicate. Like the cops, it was literally their job supposedly to understand these sorts of things, didn't have a clue. They were completely missing the energies and the communicate everything that's going on there, and his son's trying to explain it to him. And they surfaced this idea of, I don't know how much you know about it, but it's kind of is the red pill culture, which is like dudes who have been, he said Jamie, who is an incel, is what his son says he is. You know, it's this culture of boys and men who kind of think women owe them sex or owe them relationships if they do certain things, like it's almost transactional or something, and it's very like a very toxic masculinity. And I was talking with my hairdresser, the woman who cuts my hair. We always have great conversations about music and movies, and we were talking about it because she watched it, and we were just kind of talking about toxic masculinity and the red pill culture and just how awful that's become. And that's kind of what they get into a little bit. So you're learning that, and it really kind of made me think more about that. Like what is masculinity and all those sorts of things. And we kind of talked into that, and I heard somebody say this, and when I say masculinity, I think a lot of people get caught up, especially the red pill people, that masculinity has to be the key thing that a man exudes, like a gender man. But in reality, anybody can exude masculine energy. Anybody can touch into the feminine energy, and they're both, it's a spectrum, and we should all be in touch with all those things. Just to qualify, I heard someone say what masculine, a good definition of, or maybe a good analogy of what masculine energy is, and he said it is skill and risk in the service of others. And I thought that was really good. I thought that was a really good take of it. It's not being loud. It's not being physically strong. It's leveraging your skill and taking risk to serve other people, whatever that is. And you can be a male, female, or whatever, anywhere on the gender spectrum, and exude that masculine energy. I thought it was great. But yeah, that was interesting, an eye opener. That's when the show pivoted for me, where it's like, okay, we're not trying to solve a crime anymore. Yeah, let's just follow along. And I was able to just kind of relax and then get into it. And then the third episode goes completely off the rails again.
Yeah.
So the third episode, we're in it says 13 months later. So, the judicial system go slow. Once you have lawyers, pretrials, all those things, it looks like we're probably either getting close to sentencing phase or maybe in the middle of the trial. But anyway, there's a psych eval. A psychiatrist goes to the youth jail or the juvenile detention facility where Jamie is to interview him. And it sounds like it's her 5th time there. And there was another person who did it as well. And she's just there to evaluate him. Mm-hmm. And that one, you knowing after this one connects to that masculine red pill manosphere, kind of thing. And that's kind of what the topic of the conversation they have to try and understand Jamie. And that is just incredible. It's just 2 people in a room for almost a whole hour. Mm-hmm. And this kid, the actor, what's his name? His name is Owen Cooper. He freaking killed it. This kid. It's
like his first time like acting on a show or a movie I read. And he did insane. I'm looking at his IMDb. It's the only thing he's credited for is Adolescence, and he flipping killed it. Yeah. I mean, it was not only it was very believable. It was very believable for an actor that young. I don't know what his actual age is, but I think he's actually like 13 or 14. Yeah, he's pretty much the same age.
I was totally sold that this was a 13-year-old kid going through all this stuff. It was crazy how good he was. And the psychiatrist was fantastic as well. Yeah. I will mention her name. Her name is... Where'd she go? I think that might be Christine Tremarco. No. I'll have to look because they don't give her name as like doctor this in the credits, but that was incredible. Just he just snaps a few times, and those couple times he snaps, I'm like, in hindsight, when I thought about, did he really snap, or was he just projecting what he thought he had to be? If I'm going to be a man, I have to be powerful, and this is a woman. You're not going to tell me what to do. Did he really believe that?
Yeah.
Or was he just acting himself?
It was so hard to tell, because she kept asking what he thought about, what it is to be a man. And I feel like that's when he started to snap, because he was like, this is dumb. Why are you even asking me that? Yeah. And then she would keep like pushing his buttons, and then he would snap. It was
a great, it was powerful. And you have to be in a good place to watch that, because you can't just kind of have your phone on, and flipping through your TikToks. You gotta lock into this thing. And so then it goes into the 4th one. These are completely different movements. I think we're a couple years later, maybe.
Yeah. I don't know how much.
Now we're with the family. So his mom, his dad, and his sister. And his sister's got to be late teens, maybe approaching college age or that. And just a day of their life. And again, it's real time. And this is the one that really like impressed me acting wise, because there is so much dialogue, so much emotion, and so much range. It's just powerful, and to the point where like we were watching with Mom, and Mom was like, I can't take this anymore. It's too boring. But I'm like locked in to like, if you can just focus on the fact this is amazing, especially the acting job by Stephen Graham, who plays the father. Most people would, at least for me, I knew him most as Tommy from Snatch. If you love that movie. So Tommy the gun. I think you got the minerals. And so like I see him as that for most of it, but man, he locks in and just carries this thing, the emotions he goes through. Yeah. And after watching it, for a minute there, you're like fidgety, like this is uncomfortable, watching this family go through this struggle.
Right. It was his birthday too.
Yeah, it's his birthday. He runs his own business. For me, I could relate so hard to it as a father who's been through hard stuff and have to step up for your family. Like, it was really heavy for me to watch this. It was powerful. Yeah. And just a series of terrible things are happening, and him just kind of going through all these emotions. It reminded me of Captain Phillips. Remember that movie?
I don't know if I ever saw it, but I know what it is.
Yeah. So Tom Hanks plays this captain. It's a true story. And so you're not of the age where you remember it, but we remember it, and it was on the news. Like, hey, this ship has been hijacked by pirates, and they've taken the captain in a lifeboat as a hostage. And so we knew how it ended. We knew that Navy SEALs went out there, and they had sniper rifles on a boat next to it, and they were just locked in and waited till they could kill all like 4 or 5 pirates at the same exact second with sniper rifles. So we knew all that was going to happen. So the whole time I'm watching it, I'm going, how are they going to make this interesting? Because I know what's going to happen, right? Yeah. But one, Tom Hanks' acting carries it. And in that final scene, like when they kill and I'm going to spoil this, and I'm sorry, but when they kill, and I still, the first time you see it, I still think it's going to be great.
Yeah.
When they kill the pirates and they grab Tom Hanks, Captain Phillips, out of the lifeboat, Tom Hanks picks up this movie, puts it on his shoulders, and just carries it into the end zone, because he just goes through, he takes you through this emotional release that's been building for the whole movie. That just is just a waterfall. It is so amazing. I was just in awe of what he did. And I feel like Stephen Graham did the same thing here at the end of this, where he just finally just loses it. You never really see him cry. And the way it builds up to it, and the conversation with his wife, and everything they go through, like it was, this needs to be studied. Like the release he had. So as a dad, man, that it just hit this thing home. Like, you go through stuff, and you gotta, your family is it. Your family's the core, you gotta keep that thing working. And no matter how bad if things happen, it was it was powerful. Like, I love it. So
100%.
Adolescence, everyone should see it, but at the same time, it's not for everyone. If you just want to watch, dudes in tights beat up people, like that's, with capes and stuff. You want to watch superheroes, you might not like it, because it's not that. This is just an exercise in brilliant skill of acting, and directing. Like, it's phenomenal. So I want to watch it again, and just so I can go back to, especially those first couple episodes where I was still trying to solve the crime.
Yeah. I thought we were getting into like a true crime show, so I was excited. And then, when I figured out I wasn't going to know what happened, I was just like, whatever, it's really cool anyways.
So awesome. Well, now hit me with the news stuff as we shift gears.
Yeah.
The one thing I need from the young people, especially you, because you're my music maven. So Steele's got me turned on to some killer stuff in the last. Yeah,
Steele's music is probably way cooler than mine.
His stuff's cooler, but sometimes it's like too cool. Like, well, him and I'll talk about it. Where like, feel like it's Black Midi he turned me on to, and I've listened to Black Midi, and everybody should probably give Black Midi a spin if you're a music fan. I keep listening to it. I still don't know if I like it or not. It's just so weird, but it makes me laugh, because it's just the surprises and how different it is. And the fact that I haven't heard a new sound like that in forever. It just blew my mind when I first heard it. But I don't know how listenable it is. Like, you got to be like, it's just such a intense type of music. So, but that's Black Midi. But give me what are the kids listening to?
I feel like it's all over the place. TikTok is like the main source of new music, 100%. Which sometimes sometimes I don't even realize that I got a song from TikTok, and then I'll hear it being played somewhere. I'll be like, why do I know that? Like, and it's because I will listen to it 80 times in a day, but I don't even realize, because I'm just like staring at content. And I feel like that happens to us like in practice a lot. Like, we'll all be singing the same song. We'll be like, how the heck are we all singing the same song right now? And it's because of social media, honestly. So I feel like sometimes, like, Steele has very interesting music, and I don't, because I probably listen to more mainstream stuff because of social media. But
which is why I want to hear from you. So what's the hot jams right now? What should I be listening to?
Well, Drake came out with a new album not too long ago, so I know Nokia by Drake is a big song right now, especially like in basketball and stuff that's played in every warm-ups in every gym across the country. And it's again all over TikTok as a dance or another big thing on TikTok is like sports edits. And I feel like I find, because I like rap and hip hop, like that's probably my favorite genres. So I feel like sports edits, I'll see a really cool sports edit of like Steph Curry and it's to like a really cool song. And I have to go look up the lyrics because I'm like, wow, that was really cool. And that's where I'll find like rap and stuff because it'll be like to the, like one of the songs I have in the little playlist I shared with you, Mo Chicken by BossMan Dlow.
Okay.
That was on a lot of sports edits. So that's how I got onto that one.
Link that up in here. Give me the playlist.
Yeah. Let's see.
Put it in the chat. So BossMan Deal, you played me that.
Mm-hmm.
Which got me thinking, like, and I'll talk to him a little bit. I want to kind of think of some old school analogs to the new stuff you're showing me for all the old people that listen to this, so I can kind of give them something that might make sense, they can understand. But Nokia by Drake, I played that, and it kind of it's the kind of poppy hip hop that is not something I ever got into. Mm-hmm. So my hip hop taste is it's old school. And I really love lyricism, and I love most of the hip hop I listen to is pretty hard. And Drake is most certainly not hard. So I never. It's catchy. And I heard someone. I think I saw a TikTok, and like every old person, I watch TikToks 2 weeks later when they're reels on Instagram. Yep. And so one of those came in there. And someone said, it started off, Drake is the greatest actor ever. And so I was hooked. Okay, I got to hear what this guy's saying. And he said, because the rapper, the persona he plays as a rapper or a musician or whatever, is not real. He's a child actor, industry plant, whatever you want to call it. So he's acting, and he's done such a good job. He's one of the greatest selling, air quotes, rappers of all time. And it's not real. He's like, yes, he's doing the rapping and singing and probably has a part in the production and all that sort of stuff, but it's not real. Like, he didn't come up wanting to do that. He came, or maybe he did, but he came up as like a child actor in Canada, right? Like on a kid's show. He's the equivalent of like a Disney actor who, what was the show he was in? What was it called?
Degrassi, I think.
Degrassi. I never watched it. Was that in the US? Was it something you watched as a kid?
Mm-mm.
No, it was like a Saved by the Bell kind of thing or something.
Yeah, I think it was before me.
Yeah, so he's on Saved by the Bell. So imagine like Zach Morris, or AC Slater would probably make more sense to us, becoming a rapper later. Like, if I wouldn't believe it. And so I thought it was a brilliant take. Like, not to take away from the fact that his music is entertaining. He's done a great job. Like, his music has been phenomenal. But the Drake's never really done it for me. It's fun. I don't know if it's going to stand the test of time. But let me get this one here.
I feel like he's been very smart to like play into the TikTok crowd, like with a song like Nokia, where it's viral with like dances and stuff and it gets stuck in your head. Like, I feel like artists are playing into that more, which can be a little annoying when like a favorite artist of mine drops an album and it's like, what are all these poppy dancey songs? That's not what I was expecting from you.
Right.
But then like half of the album is viral on TikTok for months and that's all I hear. So I'm like, okay, there had to be something behind, like I feel like Drake plays into that really well.
So he knows how to get a viral hit that has
and I think
30 seconds.
Like, you kind of have to. Yeah, like I'll see little artists on TikTok like really pushing their music to be like trendy like that, and I'm like, geez, there are artists out here that's their goal. Their whole goal is to just push everything on TikTok and get it big on TikTok because that's kind of how you're gonna reach.
right?
our generation now. Like, if you're not on TikTok like that, it's not going to be big.
I discovered my favorite artist of 2024 that way on Instagram in the Reels. Prof. Right?
Yeah.
So, Prof, if you haven't heard me talk about him, like, it's when I first saw it, like I said, he's an independent artist. He doesn't have like a label. He runs his own thing. And same thing. Like, I'll get like the sports edits where it's, there's a cool song, like with that one that was popular that I heard a lot was the Big Dogs one. And now it's like on a commercial during March Madness. So it's kind of, it's getting licensed there. So whoever made that is now getting paid for it. But yeah, so my generation had a similar experience where you heard it on the radio. So you'd get a single on the radio, and not always did the rest of their album sound like that. One of the ones that just pops in the top of my head right now is Blur with song 2. Blur is the Gorillaz. Before they were the Gorillaz, Damon Albarn was Blur. Although, I think he created Gorillaz because he was just kind of tired of the fame, and he's like, I'll do cartoons and that can kind of be invisible. But like we caught the Gorillaz live a little bit. Steel went and I saw them.
Yeah,
but
I love the Gorillaz.
Their biggest hit in America is a song called Song 2. It's that woohoo ding ding ding.
That's Blur.
That's Blur.
Okay.
Right.
No,
so it's Blur, but it's Damon Albarn, who most people know, these days from Gorillaz. They're huge in England. So there was, we got Oasis over here, which I don't know how much you know about Oasis, and that they were like both like the two biggest bands in Europe or in England at the time. And so when they made I think it's a self-titled album, one of my favorite albums, they made that album. They were done with it, and the record label or A&R or whoever said, you need another song on there for the Americans. So they quickly whipped up song 2, which is a song about nothing with a simple guitar riff and some goofy vocals and some drums. And it essentially sounds nothing like any of the songs on the album. So you had all these Americans buy the album, because that's how you had to get the song, buy the CD, and then listen to it. And it didn't really hit. But the album is freaking amazing. Like, it's one of my favorite albums of all time. And that is the worst song on the album. If you like Blur, and you like them from before, from like their Park Life album and that sort of stuff, the rest of it sounds like Blur. But then there's this other song that's like this kind of almost Nirvana ripoff for the Americans. and so you could tell when an album had one song on it that nobody else liked, because we had used record stores where you could go buy used CDs, and you could go to the Blur section and see that. And the self-titled album, there'd be like 20 of them in there because everyone bought it, only like that one song, and then returned the album. So we had that same problem, although we discovered it on the radio, and then the rest of the album we didn't like. I think Counting Crows, August and Everything After album, because I listen to it pretty much every time I do a long drive, and the Mr. Jones song, Mr. that one, that was the big hit single that broke them.
Yeah,
great song. It's not as bad as song 2 by Blur. It's a great song, but it's the worst song in the album. Like the rest of that, that's an awesome album. So I get it. Yeah, we had the same thing.
Yeah.
Okay, Drake, and now BossMan Dlow. I need to learn about this cat. Tell me about BossMan Dlow.
I feel like he became known to me last year during March Madness because NC State had their little run, and who was their big man? Their big man, DJ Burns. It was like he was going viral on everything because he'd walk out before their games with a giant speaker.
DJ Burns, yeah.
Yeah, like he was just the guy last March, and like he came out on a speaker blasting BossMan Dlow like every game. So that's when I started to listen to him. I can't remember. I think the song was Mr. Pot Scraper was last year. So that's probably his most popular one.
I'm going to look. BossMan Dlow.
I think it's Mr. Pot Scraper. Yeah, Mr. Pot Scraper.
Yeah,
that's what DJ Burns would walk out to. So that's where I was introduced to BossMan Dlow.
BossMan Dlow's biggest spins. I'm looking at it. Oh, there it is. It's Get In With Me at 77 million plays, so not huge. And then Talk My Shit at 75 million plays.
All of them I like. I have all of those downloaded. Get In With Me's good.
I think the older dudes are gonna like BossMan Dlow.
I just like him. I don't know. He's kind of funny. He's a big dude, so like his latest song that I have on little playlist there is called Mo Chicken, and the chorus is literally saying, "I'm fat, give me mo chicken." That's the line he says.
So when you first played it for me, I could hear some trap influence. So I'm like, he's got to be from the South. Turns out, he's from Florida, Tallahassee. Yep. 26 years old, got a few albums out. Not huge. He's got 5,700,000 monthly listeners, and his biggest track, like we said, 77 million. That's Get In With Me. Mr. Pot Scraper is on doing well at 60 million spins. Mm-hmm. And he's kind of, I want to say, almost not vocally, sonically, he's kind of like almost like a Tone Loc. He's got a raspiness to him, but cleaner, not as raspy as Tone Loc, but just kind of real simple bars, not a lot of flow change, just real simple raps and just pretty simple beats, just someone's just got a drum machine and putting it out there, not throwing a lot of wild samples, not super dynamic. And so that made me think of it when you played it for me, was the other guy who's like this, who I think is a better rapper, and he's independent. Probably it looks like BossMan Dlow might be independent as well. Is Norman San. We'll put that in the show notes. I played some Norman San, which I think he deserves, some credit, because he's starting to crack, starting to get out there. He's playing a big show later this month that Steele wants to go to. I want to go to. It's at Red Rocks in Colorado, which I've never been to Red Rocks. And it's Mexican OT, who's big, right? He's hot, right?
I've never actually. I've seen clips of him and listened to snippets of songs, but I've never actually played a song by him. I think Steele probably has more than I have, but
right?
I think he's one of those guys where if you played a song, I'd be like, oh yeah, I've probably heard that on TikTok, but I couldn't tell you.
His biggest hit has 180 million hits. That's Johnny Dang.
See, that sounds familiar, but I've never actually.
So he's kind of a mumble rapper. Kind of trappy, pretty good. And then in that show, JPEG Mafia is playing, who I'm starting to get into JPEG Mafia. It's different. It's rap centric, but almost kind of, there's a lot of guitar and just noise rock going on, but he's rapping. It's not rapcore. It's not like Rage Against the Machine. And then Norman San is in that show, and then Prof is headlining at Red Rock. So coming up, Norman San. So he's kind of old school. If he's from old school lyricism, I like Norman San. But yeah, BossMan Dlow, I've added some to my rotation based on your recommendation. And then you got two more recommendations this week. Hit me with those. Got a Leon Thomas.
Okay, so this is more like R&B, a little more chill vibes.
Yeah, he's got the gold chains, leather jacket in his photo.
Yeah, he was. We didn't have Nickelodeon growing up, but he was big Nickelodeon star. A show that everyone loved to watch. That was around my age. Victorious.
Okay.
Is the show? I'm pretty sure. I hope I'm not wrong. But he is one of the main characters, and they're at I'm not going to say too much about the show because I don't actually know that much about it. But he, aside from acting, went to music school and everything, and is I think a really talented artist. I need to listen more to this album because I really like this song. But again, kind of trending TikTok sounds where I found it. I think I actually started listening to it because I was watching an interview of Issa Rae and Keke Palmer talking about their movie One of Them Days. I need to see it. I haven't seen it yet. But they were talking about Leon Thomas and how much they like him because in Issa Rae's show Insecure, which is a really great show, he was like he was featured on an episode, so they were talking about the song and they started singing it, and I was like, wait, I kind of like how that sounds, so I went and started listening to it because Issa Rae and Keke Palmer said they liked it. So
Leon George was the singing voice of Tyrone on the Backyardigans.
Yes, he was a Backyardigan. I knew that.
I think he was just did the singing, but not the talking. So there's probably two people that played Tyrone. One when he sang, one when he talked.
Yeah.
Played Andre Harris in Victorious.
Yes.
So he's signed with Columbia. He's got a few albums out. Leon Thomas. Yeah, very, very slow jam. Like he does. As I spun through his playlist, or his tracks, all of it's pretty chill. He doesn't get into like the Keith Sweat, kind of stuff, even Bobby Brown, where it's a little more danceable. Like this is very, very chill. This is almost coffee shop R&B. I like it.
Yeah, this is like when we're driving from the airport and I'm chilling on the bus, like thinking about taking a nap, but not totally there. This is what I put on in my headphones to just lay out on the bus chairs, chilling before we get home.
I dig it. Leon Thomas. Very nice.
But yeah, I need to look more into this album because I've heard some like snippets of songs that I've liked, but I just haven't actually.
Yeah, the kids don't listen to the album.
Yeah.
Anymore.
I am so bad at that because I will say that I like an artist and I really only like 3 songs, and I actually have no idea about the rest of like their anything because I just don't. Yeah.
I still try to listen to the album.
Yeah.
Like I did Chappelle Roan. I listened to her album front to back.
Yeah.
To give it a chance. Yeah. I didn't like it. I didn't get it. Like after about the 4th song that was really the same song where it's like, get the girls together and let's go to the club. Dance, dance, dance. Spell a word. Like it all felt like the same. And it kind of, and here's my worry right now when I hear that is I saw a Tom York interview, and Tom York is, our Lord and Savior of alternative music. He said, we're in trouble when people stop listening to sad songs. And I thought that's true. Like we're so in hurt and in pain as a culture that we don't even want to touch emotional music. So when I heard Chappelle Roan, and maybe there's a sad song in there, I just couldn't hear it past the Sonics, which is fine.
Yeah.
The Smiths and Morrissey, all their songs sound happy, and they're most certainly not.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I love the album. I always want to hear the album because I want to just kind of understand the depth of the artist, the musician I'm listening to, and see where they go. So you got one more in there. Sabrina Carpenter.
Sabrina Carpenter. She's like my guilty pleasure, I think, because I feel like the people that
billions. She's hitting billions on a couple of these.
She had a great year. Like this album was extremely popular. The album, what is it? Short and Sweet came out in last year, and she's been touring everywhere. She's all on TikTok. I mean, she's very pretty, blonde, so like she's very popular on social media. Like she's pretty, she's funny. She was a Disney actor, so like
Disney kid, another Disney kid.
I remember watching shows with her, and she was really cringy. And I think the main show she was in is Girl Meets World, which is if you ever watch Boy Meets World, it's like what's his face from Boy Meets World is the dad now, and Girl Meets World is about his daughter.
Okay.
And this is his daughter's best friend is Sabrina Carpenter. I forget what her character's name is, but she's very cringy.
Is she doing okay with the transition? I know like your Miley Cyrus's and stuff, they had to.
Yeah, it wasn't that dramatic. It wasn't that dramatic.
I had to work harder. Like, no, I'm not Disney anymore. Let me show my ass, which I'm fine with. Show your ass. Do whatever. But like, it felt forced because like, no, I'm not Disney anymore. So she's doing okay with the transition.
I mean, I think her songs are definitely pretty sexual, but like not in like I don't. She wasn't as big as Miley Cyrus and Hannah Montana was. It wasn't that dramatic. Girl Meets World wasn't like the biggest show ever. All but 5 of the 12
tracks on the album are marked E for explicit on.
Yeah, it's not too bad.
So it sounds like she swears a cuss or talks about.
Yeah, I don't even.
Okay, I know the song. Espresso, 2 billion plays.
Yeah. I think that was the single for this album. That was extremely popular. And you know where that I remember hearing that was at camp last year, or like middle school camp for basketball.
Right.
All the girls were singing that all day, and it was stuck in my head for like 2 weeks because that was all they would sing. Even there was some boys, some of our coaches' kids, they'll come hang out, and I had a group of like middle school boys following me around for a week singing that song too. So it got to everybody. It's so addicting.
Short, sweet, released August 2024, so it's not even out a year. 2 billion plays on the top track, Espresso.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see who wrote these songs. I'm always curious on the industry plants. Who's involved in writing it? Sabrina Carpenter.
You see that?
I have ways. I have sources. Okay. It's in Wikipedia. So by all takes. So nowadays they're getting smarter. So I'll link this up for you here in the chat so you can click on it. But Sabrina Carpenter, and again, I'm not bad mouthing it because sometimes art takes a team to do it. She is listed as a writer on every track.
Yeah. There are a lot of other ones.
But, we're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, between 2 and 4 other writers on there, including, no names like an Ian Kirkpatrick, Steph Jones. I know those people, they're writing. He writes Backstreet Boys, Britney Spears, Dua Lipa, Jason Derulo, Justin Bieber, Katy Perry, Nick Jonas, Pitbull, Selena, Shakira, Chainsmokers. So that's who he's writing for. John Ryan is One Direction, a few others, Southern Belle. Mm-hmm. So he's, hired guns. So she's not, they've gotten smart and they're putting the performer's name on there as a writer now. I think really Beyonce really kind of led with that because she was using, people were writing her music, but she wanted, give me the credits, so I wrote that I wrote it. But really, is she writing her music? And again, I don't care. Good music is good music. I don't care who wrote it. But as an old school guy, it's like, man, how, I always want to jokingly ask someone like a Sabrina Carpenter, hey, how was it coming up, when you first started out and you were just trying to get gigs at college parties and then got some bar gigs and then toured in a greasy van to try and scrape together some dollars and it's like, they never did that. Like she went from acting to a studio with a team of writers and it's a fabricated artist, and nothing wrong with, like I said, nothing wrong with that, but it's definitely something that's like, I'm trying to get my head around and just enjoy the music and, enjoy good music, so I enjoy it. I enjoy a little Bruno Mars, and
I
love
that kind
Bruno
of stuff. Mars.
Yeah. So it's different, but I'm always curious, if I see Ian Kirkpatrick in there, I know they brought in, he's a guy that probably costs a lot of money to come in and write your songs. Cause he knows how to write pop hits, but a 58-year-old white dude writing Sabrina Carpenter's songs.
I feel like she had somewhat of an impact in there. A lot of them were about her boyfriend at the time, who was, I don't know if you ever watched Saltburn, but he was the main character in that.
Oh, no, I haven't watched Saltburn.
Barry Keoghan. You haven't?
No. Is that the kids are watching this?
I think. It came out, when did it come out? Really weird movie, but I like...
It was a movie?
Yeah, I feel like you would like it.
I want to find out.
There's so much to think about. It's like a psychological thriller.
Okay. Getting a 7 out of 10 on IMDb right now, which isn't bad. You always kind of qualify that. You just know there's 0 movies rated a 10 on IMDb.
Oh, really?
So a 9 is like a 10. So an 8 is really like a... Oh, Rosamund Pike is in there.
It's a great cast. So yeah, Barry's
student at Oxford University finds himself drawn into the world of charming and aristocratic classmate who invites him to his eccentric family's sprawling estate for a summer never to be forgotten. Interesting.
I usually things don't make me squeamish or uncomfortable, but I did have to stop this movie and resume it the next day because I got uncomfortable.
You're not selling it. You're not selling it very well.
Well, okay. It was really, again, TikTok influences everything at this point.
Right.
But it was all over TikTok. It was like, oh my gosh, like Saltburn's crazy. Like people would do videos like, this is us before watching Saltburn, and then like would post a few minutes later and be like, oh my god, like we just finished Saltburn. That was so crazy. So I was like, okay, I have to watch it. And the reason I watched it was because my teammate Adley watched it, and I was like, you know what, if Adley can watch it, so can I. So that was my main motivator. But a couple of us watched it together, so I feel like
I might watch it. We'll give it a look.
I feel like you just have to say you did, but it was.
I don't like movies like that. I don't have time for movies that. But maybe I will.
What's his name in the movie? Oliver. He's sneaky. He's a weird brain. It's interesting to watch.
Then we'll do it. We'll watch it. All right. So AJ's tunes. Now, Mike, I do have to give an analog to Sabrina Carpenter, and it won't be the Carpenters, but I out of left field, I want to say Sarah Cahoon. Did I ever play Sarah Cahoon for you?
I don't know.
She's a singer-songwriter. You know, it's without all the the production, but she's got a great voice. You know, singer-songwriter, almost folky. Sarah Cahoon is the old man's version of Sabrina Carpenter. Or you know what? Churches.
I could see
that. Synth pop, and I heard she's going to be making her own. So she's got some solo tracks out, and it escapes me what her name is. But yeah, Churches I really like. That's kind of when I think of girl pop. That's probably one of the ones I've really liked in the last.
That's like the Churches with the V, right?
V, yeah, it's Churches, but with a V. Yeah,
got it. Okay, that's what I'm thinking of.
Reportedly terrible live, but which I can understand. But you just really, really good listen, good driving music. So Churches. So there it is from AJ, Sabrina Carpenter, Drake, which we all know, and his new album.
He's always coming out with something.
BossMan Dlow, if you kind of want some old school hip hop, simple lyricism, almost trap sonics, and then Leon Thomas for the slow jam R&B. I could get down with that.
Yeah.
So, awesome. Well, awesome, AJ. Thank you. First episode. We'll see where this goes. We want to we'll get better at this. We'll figure it out. We'll learn some more music. But yeah, I want to talk about what we're watching and what we're listening to, and help us stay in touch with what the new hotness is. So we'll see everyone next week.
Yup.
Big stunner, 100. You stupid, just shut up. Keep breezy, I'm big boy, done.